was great. I'd like to now introduce our next two speakers. I've got here last two speakers before we have a break. We just had a break, you get two, so great. Gill Campbell and Dr. Barry Traill are part of a group called Landholders for Dingoes, which is a group of graziers who have found a wide range of benefits from retaining dingoes in the environment rather than removing them. Gill ceased lethal control on his property in 1995, the year I was born, and has experienced less losses than when he was lethally managing dingoes on the property. Dr. Barry Traill is a zoologist, conservationist and environmental campaigner, and he convenes the Landholders for Dingoes and has worked with the member graziers to publish a paper outlining the benefits of dingoes to production.
Well, look, but to cut to the chase, just as Alex said, everyone, look, really, Bill and I are very pleased to be here. We set up Landholders for Dingoes because, in doing a lot of outback land conservation work, I found that there were a number of graziers like Gill who had independently decided to stop lethal control of dingoes for a whole range of reasons, but particularly for business reasons, because they felt they actually got better financial outcomes and better land management outcomes by not killing dingoes, which seems, seems a bit perverse, particularly on the business benefits. But I'm not a cattleman. I'm a zoologist, conservation land manager. But Gill, and I'll just be asking a few questions of Gill to tell his story, which I think is quite extraordinary, and quite interesting. But perhaps just go back to when you were growing up on your property, and perhaps just describe your property briefly, Gill. Whereabouts are you, and what do you run?
We run a self-replacing breeder herd of about 700 cows, 50 odd kilometres north of Mitchell. We are at the southern extremity of the Carnarvon Ranges, so our terrain is alluvial valleys with sandstone uplands between. It's three lots of each, so it's a haven for dingoes, actually.
And it's fairly well forested country, Bill?
Very well forested. All the uplands have thick, heavy trees. The valleys are trees, I believe in trees. You must have some trees. So there's always somewhere for the dingo to be. And it used to be that there was always somebody for foxes and cats as well.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, what did your family do? You grew up on the property. What was the dingo?
I've been here all my life.
30 years.
I've been here all my life since forever. We always kill some dingoes. Some years a lot more than others, but on the average, I would think we probably killed 15 dingoes every year. And it didn't seem to make any difference to anything. In those days I thought it was pretty good to be able to kill them, but I've since learned different. Now, in the last 30 years, I haven't killed any dingoes at all, unless I'm quite confident they're not our dingoes, they come from outside, then I will, yes, kill them, yes. Since we have stopped killing dingoes, there are no foxes, and I mean none, only half the number of cats. And that's not me guessing, that is research people here with their vision, with their night vision cameras and so forth. They tell me you've only got half the cats you would expect to be here.
Yeah. But to go back to when you were killing dingoes, you're a cattleman, you're there to get cubs off and build them up. What were your cattle results when you were killing dingoes, Bill?
Yes, okay. Even though we were killing dingoes all the time, we still lost around 10% of our calf crop. Now, since we've stopped killing them, we have about half the number of dingoes we used to have. We could say, well, how can you, if you're not killing any, how come you got half? Well, it's very easily answered. If you're not constantly killing some of those you kill are the alpha males and females. So they are the secret behind the whole dingo system with the alpha males and the females. So you cannot afford to be killing them. They don't have a sign, they don't have a sign that says, I'm an alpha, so don't kill me. So you just don't kill anything. They self-regulate their numbers. They do. This alpha pair with their few mates, this is their area, next door's got their area, and somebody else got their area. And they keep all other in a balance. In other words, they don't let any more dogs in. They don't like foxes, so they keep them out. They don't like cats, so they keep them out.
But why don't you, given you've got some stable packs on the place, Gill, what's the result for calf now? You're losing 10% 40, 50 years ago.
Now, since we've stopped killing, it's right back, I'd say 1 or 2%. That varies slightly, yes, but 1 or 2% on the average is 1 or 2%.
Losing what, 1 or 2 or 3 calves?
Out of 100 per year, out of 100 cows.
Right.
So it's basically nothing really.
Still, I mean, a calf is a calf, but still, you're still losing,
You're still losing $1,000. Yes, you are. But the advantage is the whole landscape of traill, which is 32,000 acres, it's about average for this part of the world, is, according to researchers, expert researchers here, it is very, very healthy in a comparative sense. That doesn't mean it can't be more healthy, but right now it's very healthy. And one of the main reasons is that I'm killing the alpha males and females to keep this balancing. Because there's no foxes and only half the cats, that then allows the animals that they live on, which is the ground frequenting birds, big skinks. In particular bird is the squatter pigeon, who I almost didn't know they existed before. Now they are here in hundreds, if not thousands, and are still increasing.
it's not your bottom line. You don't make a living off squatter pigeons. I do love squatter pigeons. They're an exquisite little bird, but you don't make a living off squatter pigeons. How's it better for your bottom line if you've got dingoes on?
Well, we're not spending any money whatsoever on elimination, none.
Yeah.
And instead of losing 10 calves per 100, we're only losing 1 or 2 per 100.
Yeah.
And to lose those 1 or 2, I strongly believe, big picture, in the holistic big picture, is an advantage.
But could you tell a story a bit more, which you've told me, of just what's happening with the overall herbivore numbers, with the native herbivores?
Yeah, yeah, okay, well, I said, yeah, okay, we have minimum number of kangaroos. At minimum, instead of having thousands, we might have something like that, something like 100. We have the same with the wallabies. The pigs are the same. There's a minimum number of pigs. Wild pig has 5 to 8 babies. By the time they're as big as a cat, you never see more than 2 following mum. Half the time it's only 1, so the dingoes are eating the rest. No goats. And that's probably, yeah, that's herbivore, that's it. So if you don't have these thousands of, the alternative is to have thousands of herbivores. So when you lock up a paddock to spell it, which we do a lot of, all of a sudden there's 1,000 kangaroos there. We don't have that at all. You spell a paddock and know that when you put the cattle back in it, it has its potential recovery, its full potential.
So Gill, how have you found it talking with other graziers, with other, and perhaps, other cattle graziers, but also sheep, obviously sheep graziers, which may be a different story?
I'm the first to admit that you cannot have dingoes and sheep or goats. A no-brainer, really. As far as my neighbours go, I did have one near neighbour who used not to kill dingoes through me. He sold out, and the new people, I believe, well, they told me themselves, they now kill dingoes. Very few neighbours. They're all still killing dingoes. As far as I know, they're all still killing dingoes. Okay, when we're at a meeting, which I go to a fair few of them, someone will ask me, "Oh, the dingoes, Gill?" And I said, "Oh yeah, pretty good, pretty good." And I tell my story. Now, there's about 6 or 8 or 10 land managers listening. Tending not to, but I know they're listening. So I think that's pretty good, but long way to go.
In a sense, I have, just been a visitor to central western Queensland and other similar places. Is that kangaroos and goats, to a lesser extent pigs, are a consistent issue all graziers, just in terms of not being able to stop general overgrazing. Is that a fair assertion?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. In most areas, that's yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Any sort of summary before we open up for questions, Gill? Of your experience there.
We said something.
Actually, I've got a particular question I meant to ask at the start. Shit. Third, fourth generation, been killing dingoes. Your family's been killing dingoes since probably 1900. You shift 30 years ago or so.
Since forever, which is 200 years best of, we've been killing dingoes to our utmost. Still, in most areas, are still just as many as ever. Not working. 1080, which is the poison, dingoes have learned not to eat. If they don't kill it, you don't eat it. Obviously, have learned, otherwise there would be a single dingo on the planet. Otherwise, they have learned. When someone puts 1080 out, might lose 1 or 2 young ones who haven't learnt the story, so they get killed and make a god-awful racket. So then the dingoes in that area, they find this out and leave. Some of them come to Claravale, and I can tell you by the look of them, whether they're ours or not. Most dingoes in the area have a look. Yeah, go on.
Well, we might open it up for questions if that works, Alex. Yeah, and Gill, you're just slightly off camera. Do you just want to shift your chair a little bit to your left? Yeah,
does anyone have any questions? Because I'll relay them. Yeah. Can you guys hear? Sorry.
Gill, can you hear me?
That's good, Alex. Yeah.
Gill, if someone was in an aeroplane or a hot air balloon over your property, looking down, and then comparing your property to your neighbours, does yours look greener or more healthier because you've left the dingoes alone?
It's not the full story, no it's not. We practice regenerative farming here, as in we shift our stock a lot. We have crash graze, long spells, crash graze, long spells, with the help from the dingoes, yes. But going by research people who've been, lots of them here, yes, our property is healthy, more greener for longer. Some of the neighbours, yes.
So the neighbours must know that your property is probably healthier than theirs. So wouldn't that make some difference to them to realise that by stop killing the dingoes, they will reap the benefits of that?
That's a very good question. I haven't really got an answer, but people don't seem to be doing that. A very odd one is, yes, but right across the board, somehow we've got to change these paradigms. People's paradigms need to be changed, and I really haven't come up with an answer yet.
And just to rip on a bit more from that, from my experience of talking to a number of graziers right across Australia, is that as cattle graziers, there's often a quiet, the dominant ethos, paradigm, culture, so we can use whichever word you want, is that dingoes can kill beasts, therefore the problem, and you need to kill them. And if you don't kill them, you're actually, it's a level of social unacceptability to your fellow graziers. So that is the dominant culture. I think it's fair to say that. What we're seeking to do with landholders for dingoes is to say, well, look, if you actually look at the evidence on a property by property basis, that because dingoes control large kangaroo populations, literally eradicate feral goats, and that's been shown again and again, literally complete eradication of feral goats in the areas. There was a very interesting sort of natural experiment where dingoes came back into 6 million hectares of country in southwest Western Australia, rangelands country, because the persecution had reduced in the early 2000s. So dingoes came back and property after property reported they were previously mustering off feral goats to try to keep the numbers down, at mustering off 1,000 to 2,000 a year. And those properties went to zero within five years of dingoes arriving. So they completely eradicated feral goats, reduced kangaroo populations to what I call normal populations, so it's not overgrazing, which is a conservation problem as well, of course. It's, you know, as Gill found, and other graziers in our organisation have found, it's just a better bottom line because you've got more grass and you can spell paddocks. You know, I wish I had been able to alter the number of graziers. It said, you know, we take the beast out of a paddock and to try to give it a spell, get some regrowth happening, and yeah, you get 500 breeders in there for a couple of weeks. You can't spell them, and that's it. Yeah. So I think, and so, you know, wandering on a bit there, but I think the key thing which we want to do is chip away at is get people to understand that they can actually do things differently.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I would like to know from you,
Yeah.
if possible, what was the main, what made you change? What was the main thing that made you change your behavior from killing dingoes before, and what was that time, you know, that piece that said that like, I'm going to stop and try something new?
I've always believed in Mother Nature. The nature is not in a hurry to do a lot of things. We humans are always in a terrible hurry to do things. If we buck Mother Nature, will sort us out eventually. So I would change my thinking and work with Mother Nature instead of against her and see what happens. I have found, to my large benefit, that it worked exceptionally well. To work with Mother Nature. That's not just dingoes, that is everything. We don't work with Mother Nature, she eventually will sort us out. She'll teach us a very severe lesson somewhere along the line. But please people, at least think about it. Work with instead of against Mother Nature. Humans are hell-bent on bending Mother Nature to suit us, instead of us bending ourselves, Mother Nature. The overall holistic management scenario, you will benefit hugely. This grazing, there was a lot of country up. That exact, we now have huge amounts of ground cover. Last 18 months, we have had 1 metre of rain on Clarivale. Metre, not one single gallon of that 1 metre has left Clarivale. The whole lot has stayed here. Some dams got filled and some of them are still empty and some have got a little bit in them. With the help of dingoes eradicating the herbivores, not eradicating, lessening their numbers, whole holistic picture, way better. Think holistically.
And to tease that out, Gill, what you're saying there is you've had very good rain for that area, and in most cases a lot of that would have run off because a lot of the ground would have been bare in a normally run property.
Well, yes. If your ground is bare, you can lose up to at least half your water, half your rain. Ones that comes out of Adelaide eventually, this country comes out of Adelaide eventually. You have ground cover, adequate ground cover, just said, 1 metre of rainwater is now in my subsoil. And now I have green, even at the end of winter, I will have green, some green to photosynthesize, which then grows more grass, grows more fresh grass. This is all with the help of the dingo keeping the balance out there in the landscape.
Cool. I think that's probably all we have time for now, but thank you both so much for joining, and yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Yes, I did.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, BJ. See ya.